And I remember I was walking down Lincoln Road one day, and I came across this beautiful church. It's old 19th century, kind of like Spanish, Mexican-style church. And it was gorgeous. And as, a fan of history and somebody who had lived in Mexico and lived in Latin America many years, I was drawn by it. But not just because of the architecture, I was drawn by something. And I went in, and I sat down, and I just stayed there for a while, soaking in the serenity, the quiet. And I decided I would go back on Sunday to Mass. And this was really hard for me because, I had not been into a church or been to Mass in 40 years. Not only that, I'd studied history and diplomacy at Georgetown where, when you study the religious wars, let's face it, it's not real flattering for many organized religions, to put it mildly. And so for a long time, I was somewhat anti-religious. I wouldn't say I was an atheist. I believed in something, but I would say I was heavily agnostic. But I knew that there was something missing in my life. And that day in church changed everything. The choir, the people greeting each other and giving hugs, the sermon from the pastor, the happiness, the joy, the kindness. I hadn't experienced any of that. It was like I was overwhelmed with emotion. I was sitting there and, listening to the pastor, and I was like tearing up, and I was thinking of all this stuff. And the weird thing was I thought it would pass. And I went back week after week after week after week after week. And I kept getting the same emotion. Until one day I made a conscious or unconscious decision, and I decided, you know what, I'm just going to let go.